Well, it works because absolutely nobody sets out to overeat. I don't think anybody wakes up on a Monday morning and says, this week I'm going to overeat every single meal. Hey friends, this week we're talking about HQ or hunger quotient. So this is something that I talk about all the time in mindful eating and when you're trying to break free of a diet mentality or a restrictive mentality. So what the heck is HQ? So your hunger quotient is really it's a number on a scale, and it can be arbitrary, but I like to use 0 to 10. It's a number on that scale that lets you assign a value to how hungry or how full you are. So in the example of a scale that runs between 0 and 10, if you're completely comfortable, not thinking of food at all, and exactly, feeling nice and good and no worries about food, you're at a 5. So right in the middle. If you are starving, you're willing to eat anything, even Brussels sprouts or kale or any of those things that we typically don't jump to right off the bat, then you're a 0, right? So you'll eat anything. You're starving. You just did 14 days on Naked and Afraid. So that's 0. 10 is the other end of that. So 10 is you're stuffed. You're feeling sick and gross. And so it's like, think of Thanksgiving afternoon when you have to unbutton your pants, lay down on the couch. We've all been there, right? So your goal when looking at using this HQ or this hunger scale, your goal is to find that comfort zone in between. For most of it, it's between 3 and 7. So 3 is, you're not starving, but you could definitely eat. You're thinking about food. Your stomach is starting to grumble a little bit. You really feel like it's time to start preparing something. Now, on the other end of it, 7 is you're comfortably full. You're satisfied. You're not really thinking about anything else. You're completely ready to move away from the table and you're done. So trying to find that sweet spot between 3 and 7. So somewhere in that scale between 0 and 10, trying to fit into that 3 to 7 range is going to help you when you're moving through your day. So how does it work? Well, the way that it works is you take this hunger scale and you check in. You check in before you're going to eat. Where am I? What's my HQ? And you just make a little note of it. Now, if you don't have paper handy or you don't have a journal or something like that, it's okay. You don't necessarily need to write it down, but writing it down helps you to be able to connect with this HQ even better over time. So the more you write it down, the more invested you are into this HQ practice, the better you'll get at it, and the less you have to worry about eating when you're not hungry or eating because you've been triggered or something like that. So when we're moving through the day and you're like, oh, it's lunchtime, check in with your HQ, see where you are. If you're not hungry, then don't eat if that works for you. It doesn't work in all the situations, but don't eat. Or eat something small if you know that it's going to be a while before your next meal opportunity comes in. And then try to stop eating when you're starting to get full. So you're not full yet. You stop eating when you're starting to get full. That'll keep you from getting overly full. So the reason that HQ works, and it's such a valuable tool, is that over time, it helps you to reduce the distractions that go along with eating, right? So when you're triggered because you smell French fries, or because you see somebody else walking by with food, or you saw a commercial on TV, or you're bored and you just want something to do, so you start eating to fill a space, right? So when you check in with this hunger quotient or HQ more and more throughout the day, throughout each week, throughout each month, as it becomes habit, the more you practice, the less you're triggered. You're just creating that opportunity to make a conscious choice. You're just making it so that when you are eating, it's because you're in charge. So why does it work? Well, it works because absolutely nobody sets out to overeat. I don't think anybody wakes up on a Monday morning and says, this week I'm going to overeat every single meal. It's not how it works. Usually on Monday morning, you wake up, or Saturday, or whatever day it is that you consider the beginning of your week, you wake up and you say, I'm going to get it together this week. I'm going to drink all my water. I'm going to eat perfectly, and everything is going to go exactly according to my plan so that I can reach my goal this week. Well, if you're using your HQ, it gives you the opportunity to keep checking in, to keep eating free of distractions. So you're not blowing it in between every single meal. You have the opportunity to stay on track so that on Monday next week, you don't have to say, this week is my week, because last week was your week. And each day is your day. So just creating that little checkpoint throughout your day, the more you practice, the more you're in control, the less you have to be worried about restricting, the less you worry about dieting or what you should be eating or could be eating, because you're only eating when you're hungry and you're stopping when you're full. And over time, this really, really helps you to settle into your comfort weight zone, to be, eating foods that are going to make you feel better, eating foods that are going to give you energy, just feeling good in general. It's amazing what happens when you feel like you're in control of your food choices. Then it snowballs in a good way. You never hear snowballing in a good way, right? But it does. When you make a good choice for breakfast and then you're checking in at lunch and you make a good choice at lunch, maybe you have the energy to go for an evening walk. And then tomorrow you wake up and you're energized after having a great night's sleep. And then you start the day without any regrets. And it keeps going and it keeps building. And you get that momentum. And then before you know it, you're diet free. All your choices are yours. And you don't feel like you're missing anything. You don't feel like you're restricting. And you're on track all the time. And when you're not, it's no big deal, because you're going to come right back to it again at the next opportunity. So that's Hunger Quotient. And next week, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how yoga plays into the whole Hunger Quotient and how that works. So practice that this week. Use your scale. 0, I'm starving. 10, I'm so full, I couldn't eat another thing. Check in every time you're going to eat. Check in before you eat. Check in a couple of times while you're eating, and then in between your meals, and see how it works and let me know. I love to hear how it goes for you guys. Hunger Quotient is one of the things that's really just the basic. It's the very first thing that I teach you in my program, the Perimenopause Society. It's the first thing you learn about how to take back control of your eating and your health in general. All right, friends, that's all I have this week. Make sure you tune in next week to learn how yoga works in with all of this. I will see you next time.